harmattan blew hot and dry, carrying with it the whispers of ancient tales and forgotten secrets. The air was thick with dust, making it hard to breathe, and the sun beat down mercilessly on the parched earth. Dust devils danced across the Nigerian plains, their spirals a chaotic ballet of nature's fury. They seemed almost alive, as if they had a mind of their own, twisting and turning with a purpose unknown to man. Inside his small hut, Chinua felt a chill that seemed out of place in the scorching heat. It was a cold that seeped into his bones, making him shiver despite the oppressive warmth outside. It started subtly, a whisper on the wind, barely audible at first, like the soft murmur of leaves rustling in the breeze. But as the days passed, the whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if they were trying to convey a message. A fleeting shadow in the corner of his eye, always just out of sight. It was there one moment and gone the next, leaving him questioning his sanity.
I dismissed them as tricks of the heat, mere illusions brought on by the relentless sun and the suffocating dust. But deep down, I knew something was amiss.
He was wrong. The signs were there, clear as day, but he chose to ignore them, hoping they would go away on their own. The nightmares began soon after. Each night he would toss and turn, clutching his head in distress as vivid, grotesque dreams plagued his sleep. Faces, monstrous and unfamiliar, leered at him from the darkness. They were twisted and contorted, their eyes glowing with a malevolent light. They spoke in tongues he didn't understand, yet their malice was unmistakable. The words were foreign, but the intent was clear. They meant him harm. He woke each morning drenched in sweat, his heart a drum in his chest. The fear lingered, a cold and sharp presence that pierced through the haze of his exhaustion. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through the haze of his exhaustion. It was a fear unlike any he had ever known, a primal terror that gripped his very soul. This was not normal. This was not malaria or any earthly ailment. Something far more sinister was at play, something that defied explanation. Something had taken root in his soul, something dark and hungry. It lurked in the shadows, watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. His reflection in the water gourd was no longer his own. The face staring back at him was twisted, distorted, a grotesque mockery of his former self. His eyes, once filled with laughter, now burned with an alien fire. They were haunted, filled with a pain and fear that he could not escape. The entities within him were a grotesque tapestry of global evil. A Jiangshi from the mountains of China, its rotting flesh seeking to spread its curse. A soulless Jambi from the heart of the Caribbean, fueled by primal rage. An Onryo from the bustling streets of Tokyo, its white funeral garb stained with the blood of vengeance. A Manananggal from the Philippine jungles, its bat wings spread wide, thirsting for the taste of unborn children. A Domovoy from the frozen wastelands of Russia, its eyes glowing with an icy, malevolent light. And a Pishacha from the shadowed corners of India, a grotesque flesh-eating demon whispering temptations of madness. Word of Chinua's possession spread like wildfire. It reached the ears of Father Ramon, a seasoned exorcist from Spain. His reputation preceded him, whispered in hushed tones in the hallowed halls of the Vatican. He was a scholar of the arcane, fluent in the language of angels and demons. The Spanish government, fearing a global spiritual pandemic, acted swiftly. Father Ramon, armed with his faith and ancient knowledge, embarked on a perilous journey to the heart of Nigeria. He carried with him the weight of the world, the hopes of a man possessed and a world on the brink. His heart was heavy, but his resolve was iron. He had faced the darkness before, and he would do so again. For Chinua, for the world. The air crackled with anticipation upon Father Ramon's arrival. Villagers, their faces etched with fear and hope, parted to make way for the priest. He entered Chinua's hut, the air thick with the stench of decay and the weight of unseen eyes. Chinua was a shell of his former self, his body racked with convulsions. His voice, a guttural rasp, spoke in a cacophony of languages, each word laced with venom. The demons within him recognized their adversary, their collective power surging in defiance. Father Ramon met their gaze with unwavering conviction. He knew this battle would be unlike any he had faced before. He was not just facing demons, but the embodiment of cultural fears given form. The battle began. The hut became a crucible, filled with the clash of light and darkness.
Each demon, fueled by its unique brand of evil, lashed out with terrifying force.
The Jiangshi lunged with unnatural speed, its rotting claws tearing at the air.
The Jumbi, consumed by primal rage, slammed against the hut walls, threatening to tear the structure down.
The Onryo, its white kimono billowing, unleashed a wave of icy cold, attempting to extinguish the flame of Father Ramon's faith.
The Manananggal swooped down from the rafters, its razor-sharp claws aimed at the priest's heart.
The Domovoy whispered insidious doubts in Chinua's voice, seeking to break his spirit.
The Pishacha, its voice a symphony of whispers, tempted Father Ramon with forbidden knowledge, hoping to corrupt him from within.
Father Ramon stood firm, a beacon of light in the swirling storm of darkness. The night was thick with malevolent energy, the air heavy with the presence of unseen forces. Yet Father Ramon did not waver. His faith was his armor, his prayers his sword. He was a warrior of light, standing against the encroaching shadows. He countered each attack with prayers whispered in ancient Latin, each syllable resonating with centuries of faith. The words were not just sounds, they were a force, a power that had been honed over millennia. Each prayer was a shield, each chant a barrier against the darkness that sought to consume him. He sprinkled holy water, its touch burning the demons like acid. The droplets shimmered in the dim light, each one a tiny beacon of purity. The demons recoiled, their shrieks filling the air as the holy water seared their ethereal forms. It was a battle of wills, a clash between the sacred and the profane. He brandished his crucifix, its silver glinting in the dim light, a symbol of hope and protection. The crucifix was more than a mere object. It was a conduit for divine power, a tangible link to the heavens. As he held it aloft, it seemed to glow with an inner light, a beacon in the darkness. The air vibrated with the power of the ancient rites. It was as if the very fabric of reality was being altered, the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual realms blurring. The energy was palpable, a living force that surged through the air, filling the space with a sense of awe and reverence. He called upon saints and angels, their power flowing through him, a conduit of divine light. The celestial beings answered his call, their presence manifesting as a radiant glow that surrounded him. It was a moment of divine intervention, a testament to the power of faith and the strength of the human spirit. He chanted verses from forgotten scriptures, each word a weapon against the forces of darkness. These were not just any words, they were ancient sacred texts that had been passed down through generations. Each verse was a key, unlocking the power of the divine and unleashing it upon the malevolent entities that sought to harm. He knew he had to be careful. The ritual was a delicate balance of power and precision. One wrong move, one misstep, and the consequences could be dire. His concentration was absolute, his focus unwavering. He was a master of his craft, a guardian of the sacred rites. Each demon was a delicate thread in the fabric of Chinua's soul. These threads were intertwined with his very essence, a part of his being that could not be easily severed. The demons had embedded themselves deep within, their presence a constant torment. To sever one carelessly could shatter the man completely. The exorcism required a surgeon's precision, a healer's touch. Father Ramon had to navigate the intricate web of Chinua's soul with the utmost care, ensuring that he did not cause more harm than good. He had to unravel them slowly, meticulously, with unwavering focus and unwavering faith. Each movement, each prayer was calculated and deliberate. It was a painstaking process, but one that was necessary to free Chinua from the grip of the demons. Father Ramon's resolve was unbreakable, his faith a guiding light in the darkness. The tide began to turn. The demons, weakened by his relentless assault, were forced back. Their attacks became more desperate, their screams more frantic. Father Ramon pressed his advantage, his voice rising in a crescendo of prayer. He saw a flicker of Chinua's true self in the man's eyes, a spark of hope amidst the inferno. He focused his will, pouring all his energy into one final, desperate plea for deliverance.
The air crackled with energy. The hut trembled. And then, with a final, ear-splitting shriek, the demons were ripped from my body, their forms dissolving into wisps of black smoke.
Silence descended upon the hut. The air, thick moments ago with malice, was now filled with the smell of ozone and the faint scent of incense. Chinua lay on the floor, his body spent, his chest heaving. He was free, but the battle had taken its toll. Father Ramon helped him to his feet, his own face pale with exhaustion. He knew that the scars of such a profound possession ran deep. He placed a comforting hand on Chinua's shoulder, offering a silent prayer for his continued healing.
The villagers, their faces a mixture of relief and awe, surged forward, eager to welcome me back into the fold. The ordeal had tested their faith, but in the end, it had also strengthened it.
The exorcism was a victory, a testament to the enduring power of faith. It was a moment that reaffirmed the strength of belief and the resilience of the human spirit. The congregation felt a renewed sense of hope, their prayers answered in the most profound way. But for Father Ramon and Chinua, it was a stark reminder of the unseen world that exists just beyond the veil of our own. This world, filled with shadows and whispers, was a place they had come to know all too well. It was a realm where the boundaries of reality and nightmare blurred. They had looked into the abyss and emerged forever changed. The darkness they faced was not just an external force, but something that reached deep into their souls, challenging their very essence. The experience left an indelible mark on their hearts and minds. Chinua, though free from the grip of the demons, carried the memory of their torment. The scars of his ordeal were not visible, but were etched deeply within him. Every night, he would relive the horrors, the feeling of being trapped in his own body, unable to escape the malevolent force that had taken hold. He would forever remember the feeling of his will being subverted, of his body becoming a vessel for unimaginable evil. The sense of helplessness and despair was something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Yet, amidst the darkness, there was a glimmer of hope. But he also carried the knowledge that even in the darkest depths, hope can survive. This hope was a beacon, a reminder that no matter how overwhelming the darkness, the light of faith and resilience could never be fully extinguished. It was this hope that gave him the strength to move forward.
Father Ramon, his faith tempered by the fires of hell, returned to Spain a changed man. The trials he faced had reshaped his understanding of the world and his place within it. He was no longer just a priest, but a warrior of light, battling the forces of darkness. He carried the weight of his experience, the knowledge that the world was a more complex and terrifying place than most could ever imagine. The burden of this knowledge was heavy, but it also gave him a sense of purpose. He knew that his mission was far from over, and he knew that his work was far from over. The battle against the unseen forces of darkness was ongoing, and he was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With renewed determination, Father Ramon embraced his role, ready to protect the innocent and confront the evil that lurked in the shadows.